What's up guys, welcome to Voicey here. This is your host, Captain Zach, and today's subreddit is r/EntitledParents.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.
Alright, this story's called Entitled Mother Calls the Cops on Me for Trespassing on My Own Land. Gets evicted. Here's the cast. Me, Entitled Mother, typical entitled cow.
Unlucky neighbor, the owner of Entitled Mother's house and the father of Entitled Mother's baby daddy. Grandfather, an 83-year-old farmer who takes no crap.
Cops 1, 2, and 3, voices to be determined. Backstory. For most of my life, I was raised by my grandfather. Nothing was wrong with my family life or anything, just a few sets of circumstances that's a whole other story in itself. We live in a suburban area surrounded by woods, and he owns about 10 acres into the woods with the boundaries clearly marked by stone walls. One of these stone walls separated Grandpa's land from the cul-de-sac, and up until now, we have had zero problems with any of them. In fact, Grandpa was usually more than happy to give permission to neighbors who politely asked him to use his land, given they had a good reason. One of these neighbors had asked Grandpa if he could dump the sticks and leaves in his yard over the stone wall. Grandpa agreed, as he rarely uses that part of the property anyway. This will be important later. My grandfather is very healthy for his age and still strong as an ox. That being said, he has a few minor health issues, including vertigo spells, so I've been trying to help him around the yard more and more, as well as just to stay active outside away from crowds with this virus going around. Recently, I've started the project of cleaning up the underbrush around the wooded area. A large pine had fallen a few months before and almost hit one of the porches in the cul-de-sac. Grandpa cut up the tree and removed the pieces in the neighbor's yard, but it was too deep in the woods to pull them out with a tractor. This led to me going back to that pine tree and clearing a path back to the house from there. I was behind the stone wall, cutting and pulling up saplings, when I hear the glass door of the cul-de-sac house open and an angry lady storming out onto the porch in a bathrobe. She was much younger than a typical Karen, I would say mid-20s.
What the hell are you doing here? You can't be here!
Why not?
Because you're trespassing, dumbass. You think you can just hang out in the woods behind my house with my kids inside? Get the hell out of here before I call the cops.
At this point, I'm just looking at her trying to figure out what to say. I mean, I get it. It can be a little weird seeing someone in the woods behind your house if you haven't seen them before. Ma'am, I'm sorry if I scared you, but my family owns this part of the woods. I'm just cleaning up back here. Remember, me and Grandpa were back here a few months back to take care of that tree that fell down? I just need a clear path so we can get it out of here. At this point, I thought it was purely a misunderstanding.
Don't be ridiculous. Those were laborers my boyfriend's dad hired. You don't own the land. My boyfriend's dad owns all this.
She gestures with her hand.
Now I'll tell you one more time to get out before I call the cops.
Now I'm thinking I might be dealing with a genuine idiot, as outside Grandpa's boundaries, the woods are owned by the town water plant and don't have public access. But I'm also taken aback that she referred to us as laborers. Guess you're gonna have to call the cops then, because I ain't moving. I don't care what you, your boyfriend, or your boyfriend's dad says. I shrug as I lean back against the wall and pull out my phone to call Grandpa to tell him where I was. He tells me he'll be there in a few minutes and to hang tight. She then dramatically proceeds to call 911 and tells them there's a shady individual on her property refusing to leave and she's afraid for her life. I start getting nervous at this point, even though all I have on me is a hooked branch cutter. So I call up the police non-emergency number, briefly explain the situation as just a land dispute that got out of hand, and that I'm unarmed and waiting on my own property, and that I have never left my property. He assured me that it would be settled when the officers arrive, which didn't help my nerves. Just then, I hear Grandpa pull up and see him walking through the yard towards us.
What? Stay back, you can't come in my yard!
Oh, keep your mouth shut, you dumb broad.
He growled as he walked over to me and climbed over the wall so he was on my side.
Now, who the hell do you think you are, and why are you yelling at my granddaughter?
My boyfriend's dad owns all this, and both of you are gonna get arrested for trespassing.
Well, you're in for quite the shock. And your boyfriend's dad is in for quite the talk.
After them yelling back and forth for a few minutes, 2 cop cars pull up and 3 officers come walking into the yard. As soon as they do, she starts screaming again about how we have no right to be in the woods behind her house where we can see her kids inside. Cop 1 looks to Grandpa.
Sir, do you own the property behind this wall?
Yes, sir, I do.
He pulls out his wallet to show his address. Cop 1 eyeing his license.
Sir, this address is for down the street?
Correct, but if you look on Google Maps, it shows the property boundaries of that address reach out through the woods and end at this wall. I hand him my phone, which already has Google Maps open, showing our exact location within the boundary of the property. Cop 2 says,
Yup, she's right. So, what were you all doing back here if you don't mind me asking?
We explained the situation of the tree and how we were working to remove the remnants. Meanwhile, the other officer was taking a statement from Entitled Mother.
I know the owner of this house. He's a good guy. I give him permission to dump his leaves and stuff behind the wall. But I've never seen her before, so I don't know where she got those crazy ideas, but I'm definitely gonna have to talk with
Neighbor's first name
when he gets home.
She already called him up and he's on his way now. Do you mind sticking around for a while until he gets here?
Sure, we ain't got nothing to do.
The cops walked us to Grandpa's truck, where we waited about 10 minutes for unlucky neighbor to pull in. When he did, he immediately walked over to the truck.
Grandpa, OP, what's going on? Someone was hiding out in the woods. Are you okay? Did you see him?
To clarify, we have had an issue in the past with people running from the cops and hiding in our woods. It took a second for us to realize he thought that maybe Entitled Mother saw one and we came to chase him out. Not exactly. At this point, 2 cops are around us again, but being 2 old guys who obviously pose 0 threat, they're noticeably relaxed and kind of let them talk it out. Unlucky neighbor explains that Entitled Mother is his granddaughter's mother and his son had made some mistakes, and currently both were staying with him until they try to find a place of their own. He thinks maybe his son told some lies to make him look better.
Well, I hate to say it, but your son made some big mistakes. She's crazy. Oh, you have no idea.
The other cop is still talking to Entitled Mother, who won't stop screaming about not wanting us being able to see into the living room, especially Grandpa, a creepy old man. My blood is boiling at this point. Grandpa is the type of person who would gladly throw his life away to save a child. Any child, even a stranger's. Unlucky neighbor heard this too and ordered Entitled Mother inside at once. He told the cops he needed to have a talk with both her and his son about their living situation, but they might want to remain nearby in case she tries to call again for whatever reason. Me and Grandpa are given the clear to go, but leave our contact information. Found out later that week that Entitled Mother was getting evicted for a number of reasons, with this little incident being the last straw. He's also filing for custody of his granddaughter because Entitled Mother refuses to get a job, yet still has money for weed, yet keeps asking Unlucky Neighbor for money to take care of his granddaughter. I really feel bad for her in this situation, but I have no sympathy for Entitled Mother whatsoever. Entitlement at its best. Boys, be careful and make sure that you don't impregnate a crazy woman. And girls, don't let stupid, crazy, lazy guys impregnate you. Because this whole thing, that's just embarrassing. Also, as a parent, I believe your first expense that you need to take care of is your children. Like, that should be your number 1 priority in terms of money distribution, okay, than your living expenses. Obviously, that's easy for me to say because I'm not in a situation where I have to prioritize one over the other, and I only have enough money for one, mostly because I don't have a kid. But you don't want to be the type of parent to blow all your money on weed and then ask your baby granddaddy for money. That's just embarrassing. This story's called Yes, just for you and your son, we will change this $1 million+ system. This is a story that happened a year or two ago. I can't recall exactly. I work in customer service for a card company. Due to not wanting to be too obvious as to where, there are some slight changes to the story, but not enough to change the events that occurred. A customer called us because she wanted to open a third card in her name with us when our limit is 2. Our systemet lets 2 applications through, and then it's on hard lock. We couldn't even get around it even if we tried. She had tried to apply for this card and obviously has been denied, and now she was calling us. After explaining to her that unfortunately we cannot open another card in her name as those are the rules and how our system works. This is where she informs me that no, she has only 1 card. Concerned, I start asking questions like, has she lost the card or do I need to block it and send out a new one? Does she want to cancel it, etc.? No, she was aware that she had 2 cards, but her other card was used by her son. Well, okay, I said, if your son is over X age, then we can get him a family card under her account so you can use both of your cards. No, her son was X-1 years old, so that wasn't possible, because we need to be able to verify them in our public registry system, which happens at age X. And she lost it here on me. I explained to her that unfortunately, then she would have to wait until her son turned X to get a card in his name. I was at this point getting fed up with the situation because she wasn't particularly nice in her tone or choice of words, but wasn't outright abusive. At this point, I had to inform her that by lending out a card with her name on it, that she was violating the terms of service of the card and loses the right to dispute any and all possible wrong transactions or fraud on the card, as she willingly would have given another person permission to the card. Common sense, right? No. She then yelled at me that what she wanted to do with her own account was her business, and if she wanted to open a third card, then that was her business, not ours, and that her son needed that card because she was a single mother and XYZ. We're not a bank, mind you. We're a credit card company, and you'd be better off opening a bank account for your son and funnel in some money there. I said that while she was right, that we couldn't force her to comply with the terms of service. Well, we could, to be honest. And we couldn't, at this point, do anything about her son using her second card, but by telling us this, she forfeited the right to dispute transactions, and that if she chose to give her second card to her son, then that was her choice to. But we have already opened a second card for her, and our systems were not compatible with the third one. The application would not even pop up for us as the system automatically deletes it as a duplicate. She was furious with me, threatening to close her account and wanted to speak to a manager. Here's something I'm glad that is different in my country and culture. The demanding a manager is a weak request, and doesn't mean you have the right to speak to one. Honestly, my manager at the time had no clue about anything we did, and you just speak to another colleague about it. So I just told her that was unfortunate, that whenever she wanted to close her account, we were just a call away. And I was not going to register a complaint because this is clearly stated in our terms of service and how our system works. Honestly, I love telling people who threaten to close their account that I can do it right away, or just how easy it is. Because so many threaten it, thinking they will get their way, when we honestly don't even care. So many people change their minds immediately. I'm quite brash, rarely say sorry or anything in calls, so dealing with entitled parents like this, who think they can do what they want and not face the consequences. Do they honestly think we'll cover any potential fraud or disputes on the account when she gave the card to her teenage son, who could have done anything with it? Or that we'd change $1 million to $1 billion computer system and back office / workflow management just for her? When realizing I was not sympathetic to her complaints and that she was getting nowhere, she hung up on me, and I don't know what she ended up doing. Oh boy, yeah, credit cards are dangerous. Giving your teenage son a credit card to do willy-nilly with, bad idea. I mean, in my opinion, I think giving your kid a card for gas, or if they go out with their friends and they want to eat some food, then yeah, you can put it on a credit card and, you can pay it off. But to just... that's how you get all those teenage spoiled girls on all those old Disney Channel movies. Their parents give them a credit card and they just go crazy. But opening a bank account for your kid too for these things would also be a good idea. You can give them a certain amount of money every month that they can use on gas or food or I guess whatever. And then after a bit of that, you can make them get a job because that ends up adding up. This story's called Ex-Stepmom Releases My Cats into the Wild. Hooray! My first post into the subreddit. This happened about 7 years ago now, and I'm still mad about it. When I was 11, my dad bought me a cat for my birthday. He was an orange fluff ball named Angelo, and I loved him so much. Everything was my responsibility. Cleaning the litter box, giving him food, brushing, etc. Anything you need to do to take care of a cat. A year later, I got a tiny gray kitten named Dexter. They were my babies. Then, the world fell apart. I never believed in the wicked stepmother stereotype until this. My dad and stepmom's fighting got worse and worse, to the point where she would hit my dad. Her and her son did nothing but complain about the things my dad did. So my dad got out of there and I went to stay with my mom while he looked for a new place to live. Everything was going fine until things started getting split in the divorce. By terms of the divorce, her son's car had to be put in her name so my dad wouldn't pay for it. That's another story entirely. All of my dad's and my things had to be returned to our new apartment. I got to keep my cats. Apparently, my stepmom didn't like number 3. She wouldn't return my cats. My dad contacted his lawyer multiple times to try and get Angelo and Dexter, but she kept refusing. Finally, my dad threatened to take her to court so that he could get the cats back. But wait, what's this? She doesn't have the cats anymore. She actually confessed that she released my cats in the middle of nowhere. And we have a lot of coyotes near where we live, so unless they were picked up by someone, they were almost definitely killed. Stepmom then told my dad he could have the house. She packed her things and left the state. I miss my cats. I haven't been able to get any since Angelo and Dexter, but I really hope to get one in the future. But I have a new stepmom now, and she's the nicest person in the world. So, sort of happy ending. Edit. A lot of people have been saying that we should sue for animal cruelty because of what my stepmom did. But the big reason we didn't is because if we sued, it wouldn't bring my cats back. We tried calling shelters and putting up missing posters, but we never found anything. Even if we sued, it would give money and not my cats. It was really the idea that no amount of money would be able to bring back those cats, and at the time, I wasn't ready to just replace them. I hope this answers people's questions about that. This was also back in 2013. I was just a kid back then and we don't know where she is now. There's not much we can do now, but we did our best at the time. It really sucks that the whole wicked stepmother thing is an actual thing. Why are people so freaking trigger happy with marriage the second time around? You'd think the opposite, right? Oh man, marriage was horrible. It ruined me. It took all my money. I have nothing left in life. Let's go get married to that horrible, evil person right over here. Hey.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.